Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
I'm Jared Flo.
Thank you for joining us today.
Welcome back.
So today's podcast is about the two things that are more important than the quality of the work you do as a contractor and how to protect those two things, which I think most guys tuning in will say, I'm listening.
Right.
Because everyone thinks
more important than quality.
Yep. Quality is number one. Quality. And this is not saying quality is unimportant, but we'll talk about that in a second. So the two things that we believe, we're going to put it out there in the front and talk about it throughout the podcast. The two things we believe are more important than quality is your reputation and making money. Those two things are more important than quality.
Those are the two things that we are after in the contracting business.
Yes. If you
money
have
and reputation.
And if you have a good reputation, you make more money. And if you make more money, you can protect your reputation, which we'll talk about later. And in that, one big confusion that guys have when we talk about this is quality is secondary. It's important to have good quality, but everyone has good quality. If you don't have good quality, then you got to have that foundation that's got to be set up before you can even think about building a reputation, protecting your money, growing a company. But here's the thing. You are not going to build a reputation solely on your quality.
Right.
A good metaphor that we use in our 2-day seminar is the grocery store metaphor. I'm not going to go totally into it, but it's how we view building a company. And the overall metaphor is you are building a grocery store and you have milk on the shelf. Now everyone has milk on the shelf. You can go to 100 grocery stores in 5-mile radius. They're all going to have Mayfield milk on the shelf. And
maybe different varieties of milk.
Maybe different varieties. There might be, a Whole Foods that has a little bit nicer quality, a little bit higher end. There's going to be a lower end. But at the end of the day, they're all safe, good, going to be very close to the same quality.
It's all milk.
It is all milk. Every store's got it. That's like your paint. That's like your roof. That's like whatever you are as a contractor in this business. There's 1,000 painters within 5 miles that can all give a really high quality paint job within 2% quality that you're given.
It's the tangible product that your client is buying.
Yes. When I open a grocery store, that milk has to be good milk. They're not coming because I have a better milk than the guy next door most of the time. Why they're coming into my store is because of the experience they have, the reputation I have as a store for treating clients well, for getting them what they want, for having a good variety, for having I deliver the product the same way every single time. They know how to come get in and get out.
It's a clean store. There's somebody there to help them if they need help, ask questions to.
It's the process around delivering that milk that people choose you over the next guy. Right. So quality is secondary to us because that's a given. That's basic. That is what everyone should start with. If you don't have quality, you're not even going to be signing up and being a part of Alliance because you don't have a company.
Right.
If you have a poor quality product, you're going to burn out in the first year, 2 years, or struggle to make any sort of money.
And really, I think one of the things that I think about quality is quality is really determined by what you can charge. So a store brand milk is less expensive, and it's milk. It's good milk. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not as good as the organic milk and costs more.
Yeah.
But it's still milk, and it's all determined by the expectation that what the client is trying to come in and buy.
Yep.
That's where your quality is determined. So it's not necessarily quality determines your reputation.
Yeah, quality is in the eye of the client, right? We've got clients that do turns between tenants that want a $800 paint job for that apartment. We've got clients that we do $18,000 paint jobs on that multi-million-dollar house.
Right.
Those are going to be two different qualities. The client is going to be happy no matter what level because we're setting expectations for them. They know what the level that we're going to give them, and they know how it's going to be delivered, and we do what we say we're going to do.
Either one of those, whether we're doing the $800 paint job or the $18,000 paint job, the story and the experience for the client is the same.
Exactly. So if you're walking into our grocery store, you're still going to be greeted. You're still going to be treated with respect. You're still going to have these things available to you. You're going to know how to get the product, you're going to check out the same way. We're going to help you do your car with your groceries. All of the experience is the same. And so we build our reputation. I'm not, as a grocery store, looking on how to get a milk that is 10 times better than the next guy's. There's a max on the quality of milk, right? You're not going to have a better paint job tenfold over the next guy who's painting.
Right.
It might be a little better. It might be somewhat better, or it could be 10% better. But
I can put a gallon of milk on the shelf that's $100. Nobody's going to buy it.
Yeah.
But it's there.
So it's the quality is important for the expectations you're setting for your client. But what we are always seeking after when we're coaching guys is a reputation that gets people in your doors. Now, part of that we put with the reputation, instead of just one thing being more important, is money. And it feels very greedy and business minded. And
I got a great reputation. I don't make any money, but I got a great reputation.
Well, and you can't protect your reputation, which we'll talk about in a second, without money. You can't use money and throw it at a client because something's going to go wrong. Something's going to happen. And I have to spend money that I have extra in my pocket to make sure I'm protecting my reputation.
The reputation, that's right.
So that's kind of the metaphor that we run off of. That's what we try to build here at ProServe Alliance with guys in their companies is a amazing reputation. And we go through core values and a bunch of other things to help structure your reputation to where every client, every employee, every hire is now carrying the mantle of what that means and what that looks like. But when you're a one-man show, two-man show, five-man show, whatever it is, you have to have ways to protect your reputation. So in doing that, your reputation and money, Jared, let's help understand the difference of those two things. Give me an example of when you have seen protecting or guys not. Let's say that when you don't protect your reputation.
Your reputation.
Yeah.
Or maybe that quality is not connected to reputation.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's talk about the how quality and reputation are not connected.
Right.
One is not the other.
So an example I'd give for that is I'm a fantastic painter. I run a painting company, and I know everything there is to know about painting and how to make sure there's no blemishes, no holidays on the wall. It is a great paint job, and I charge a good amount of money for it. And I go into a client's house, do a full interior paint on their house. Everything, I'm done with the job. Everything is perfect. Yeah. But the client's frustrated at the end because every day they didn't know if we were going to show up. There were days that they thought we were going to show up and nobody was there. They planned around us being there. They moved things in their lives based on something that I said or didn't say. I went back to them and asked for more money that they weren't expecting.
Took you 4 weeks to do a 1 week job.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. All of those different things that were expectations that just weren't followed through on, whether they were set or not. I did an amazing quality job. Yeah. And the client's going to pay me for it. But at the end of it, the client's frustrated and probably wouldn't use me again. Yeah. So I've got a loss of reputation based on the fact that they got a great paint job. They did pay me because I did the work, but they wouldn't choose to use me again, and they definitely wouldn't refer me to somebody else because the experience was really bad.
High quality product, low quality experience equals no future business with you. You're losing your reputation.
And your online review would probably look like something like they did a great job. The paint looked great. Really difficult to deal with. Yeah. That's what that review would probably look like.
And no one's clicking on that person to call. No. Yeah. And so because you sacrifice that reputation, you now aren't getting more jobs in the future and growing your company to the next level. Right. So that's a great example of high quality, no reputation built.
Yeah.
and how they are connected. You have to have a minimum quality, decent product for that reputation. Jared, give me an example of when a client, whereas you as a contractor have to sacrifice money or lose money or reputation because you have to make the choice, right?
I'm at a point in a job where I have to choose one or the other.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. I think I would go back to a painting example as well, where I went into a house. I painted the house the color that the client asked me to paint. The client comes in and takes a look at it, and immediately they are upset and frustrated because they said that they told me to paint it blue.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I've got to figure out what to do. I have to make a choice of, well, it is what it is. I painted it. You said that, and this is what this is what you paid for, and I gave it to you.
Last Monday, we stood here, and you told me gray. You told me the number. I wrote it down on my pad, and I went and bought that paint.
Right.
I am right. I painted it what you wanted.
That's right. And so in that moment, I have a choice. I've got to sacrifice to be able to resolve this situation. I have a choice to sacrifice money to be able to go in and fix the situation, or I'm going to sacrifice reputation by whether I'm right or not. That client is going to be frustrated if I don't fix the situation, and then I'm going to lose reputation by they're going to blow me up. They're going to whatever. So that's kind of a place where you get to in a job where you have to choose one or the other.
Every single time that something goes wrong on a job site, you have to choose either money or reputation. Those are your two options when something hasn't happened that was expected to happen. Even if you are 100% right, you're going to lose reputation because we all know clients don't remember how you remember.
Right.
And we think we're right. They think they're right. Now what do you do, right? And so every single situation that goes sideways is, am I going to sacrifice money? I'm going to repaint the whole house. I'm going to sacrifice reputation. Sorry, lady, you told me gray. I painted it gray. Give me my money.
Yeah.
Pay me now, or I'm going to put a lien on your house. Right? Those are the two options when you're sitting at that spot.
Right.
And that's where it gets very sticky. What are you going to do? And every situation is different. If that happens on half of my jobs where I'm having to come out of pocket, I have no option but to tell the lady, sorry, goodbye, pay me, I'm out of here, I'm not doing anything for you. I don't have any money to burn on saving my reputation. Because at the end of the day, and this is where we see guys get stuck all the time, at the end of the day, I don't care about being right. I care about protecting reputation and making money. And we see so many guys stuck on, I am right, this has to be just, we need justice here, you can't say that, I'm not doing that because that's not my fault, and
the just and right thing in that you told me gray. It's absolute that you told me gray. And so if you want the paint color changed, I'm glad to do that for you. You're just going to have to pay for it.
And so and I'm not paying for it. This isn't what I wanted. Blah, blah, blah. And it just gets explosive. And you're now going to either, if I want money, I'm going to have to somehow figure out how to get this painted because they're not going to pay me for the rest of this job.
Right.
So I'm losing money. And worst case scenario, I'm also losing reputation because we're both mad at each other, screaming at each other, and the client is not happy and won't be happy for the rest of the job. And so there I've lost both money and reputation.
Right.
What we teach and preach here is you've got money, you've got a reputation, and you're going to have, if something goes wrong, one's going to be sacrificed. We want to sacrifice money to save reputation. And how do we do that? Most of the time, guys lose both. I'm going to lose reputation and I'm going to lose money. You got to sacrifice money over reputation, but you can't do that 5 times out of 10.
Right.
You got to do that 1 time out of 10. You got to have your system set up, and what we're going to talk about next week, which is expectations set up, and how do you protect to where it's 1 time out of 10 at the most losing reputation and or money.
Right.
In that example that you just gave of that, here is the way that we would coach our guys in Alliance how to handle that, how to change that, and how to sacrifice with the minimum amount of sacrifice. Right. So flipping the script, I'm the contractor, you're the homeowner. I'm like, you're yelling at me because you need it. You thought it was supposed to be blue, and I painted it gray. First off, all of our communication with our homeowners are in our software. We've got job logs, notes, and signature pages with SKUs and that sort of thing. So everything that we have talked about, I've backed up there.
Yep.
So 2 weeks ago, I had made that note that we're changing it, and I probably would have sent it by email too. So when we have this issue, I can say, listen, right here in my job log, in my software, it shows where we discuss this number of paint, the SW1772.
Right.
And this is the one that you gave me. Look, I've got confirmation from you here. I am so sorry that how this got crossed. I want you to have a really good experience here. I am so this is so unfortunate, but I've got this evidence here, right? I've got this proof that they agreed to this number, to where I'm not the bad guy. This miscommunication that you told me to do that gray is the bad guy.
Right.
That stinks. I'm so sorry. Our first round of the paint job was $5,000. I could probably repaint it for you for maybe $4,000 and try and get it done at cost and call in some favors from my paint crew. But really trying to solve that with you. If at that point you say, yeah, I did approve that, but then I called and told you it was supposed to be gray or blue, right?
Right.
So when the client isn't reasonable, which happens
most of the time,
yeah, when they're not reasonable and they don't want to believe the evidence that you've shown them,
right.
Or maybe you don't have that evidence. You say, no, I know we said gray. It was this last Monday. I got here. I wrote it down on my pad somewhere. I know it's gray, and you're set on it that you told me it was blue. At this point, I say, listen, I know that we are not going to see eye to eye on this, Jared. We are not going to you think it's blue, I think it's gray, and no one's going to win in this situation. So what I want to do is I don't care about being right. I care about your experience with my company. So at this point, let's not argue about which color was chosen. Let's figure out a way to move forward and get this done without both of us hurting.
Right.
So Jared, if to move forward, it's going to cost me about $4,000 cost to get this done. Would you be willing to split that with me? Because we are just standing on both ends, not agreeing in the middle. This is a good compromise. If you pay $2,000 and I pay $2,000, we're going to get this repainted for you and make you happy. Would that work for you? You have that conversation with the homeowner.
Would you be willing to maybe talk to your provider and see if they can get the paint for maybe a little cheaper to save some cash?
I will definitely do that, and that's why I'm getting down from $5,000 to $4,000.
Okay.
So I will go do that. I'm going to call in some favors with my crews. I'm going to try to get it done. Let me figure out what that exact cost is, and we'll split it. Does that sound fair to you?
That's fair.
All right. So let's do that. Or you dig your heels in. This is the art of how much money am I going to sacrifice and how much reputation am I going to burn. And sometimes we're going to burn a reputation with a client.
Yep.
But if I do everything possible to not, I've got that proof next time when the person who is talking to you as my client, I can say, well, yeah, that did happen with them, but I offered this, and it was because this happened.
They
and this
weren't willing
happened,
to take it.
and I tried my hardest to make them happy. And so that's the examples of choosing one or the other and going through trying to always protect your reputation.
Right.
So, and for us, to be honest, we have such little issues with this because of our systems and processes and how we run our job sites, that when this does happen, I'd probably just pay the $4,000 and repaint it.
Right.
And say, I disagree. I am very, very sure that we said gray, but I care more about your experience with us than being right.
Yep.
And so let's put this argument behind us. I'm going to pay and get this done for you, and I want you to have a great taste in your mouth. But I'll trade you. You owe me a really good review when we're done. Deal?
Yep.
Is that a deal?
Yep.
All right. And so I paid $4,000 to save my reputation in that. Most guys can't do that. Some guys can do that. Some guys don't want to do that. It's a matter of how much can you, and how often do you have to.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things about what you just said is that wasn't about quality. It was about the experience that client was having.
Yep.
One of the examples that I use is, I used one earlier about a perfect paint job that had no communication and frustrated the client. The other way around, a job that has some bumps, some issues, something in the house gets broken, or a bucket of paint gets spilled, or whatever. There's some bumps on the road of that of the actual delivering of the product, but every step of the way, I was on top of calling the client and say, hey, we just spilled a bucket of paint. I've got it cleaned up, and I've got a crew coming on over here that is specialized in blah, 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 blah. And I know we told you we're going to be there on Friday. We can't be there on Friday, and the whole way through, there were some bumps. It maybe took a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, the quality of product was good. And the experience was great because I was on top of that communication. And what happens is that client, when they are telling somebody else about the job that they had done, most of the time they say, you know what, there were some bumps, there were some issues, but they were on top of it. They gave me
They owned up to
they
it.
owned up to it. They gave me how they were going to fix the issues when they weren't going to be there. They told me when things changed, they were on top of it. You should use this company.
Yep.
Well, how was the work that they did? Oh, the work was great, but they're really easy to work with.
Yep.
Right, and that's the experience of how the story of their renovation or their paint job or whatever is much more important and connected to the reputation than the quality or that is the thing that people are looking for and the thing that they tell other people about.
Yep. Well, that's how you deal with it. We've kind of talked about in the moment when things go wrong on a job site. But the truth of this and the secret to this is what we're going to talk about next week, which is how do you protect that reputation from the time you're giving the estimate? How do you start early and protect it to where when you get to the issue on hand, when you get to the conversation about who painted what, it's a very easy conversation because it's not that moment that builds your reputation. Your reputation starts from the day they first contacted your company.
Yep.
And so next week, let's talk about that. But give me a little teaser on it. What is the best way to protect reputation and money?
Well, the best way in my mind is what you just said. Reputation is setting expectations for your clients early so they know what to expect. Secondary is setting expectations and clear guidelines for your subcontractors.
That protects money.
That's protecting money.
Yep.
Right? We can go deep dive into that next week
Yep.
and really give some great examples of that.
Cool. I'm excited about next week. Again, quality matters. It is not what builds your reputation. Remember that. Protect your reputation.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're protecting your money and not losing that, so you have it there to earn your reputation, and you will be a successful contractor.
That's right.
Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next
See
week.
you next week.